Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. What a way to enter, like with your finger in your ear. How's it going, guys? It is Friday, February 4th. Hey, that's a wake up call. It's February 4th. You got 10 days till Valentine's Day, and that's your warning, right? You better go out and shop this weekend. I got to get something going on this weekend because I completely forgot with being sick. What's going on with my hoodie here? I completely forgot with being sick, and I don't have anything, so I'm in deep trouble. I appreciate you guys joining me. Just a few notes before we get into things. If you're new here, don't be shy. Post up a question. Post up a question, anything, diet, training, nutrition, running, off topic. Off topic is fine. And if I missed your question, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, and slide into my DM. Sometimes YouTube does not post your questions, and that is not me censoring you. For whatever reason, YouTube is funny like that. If your question's too long, you might have to trim it. And sometimes it's just random. So if I don't get to you, you can head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide into my DM, even if you're watching this after it's done. And I'd be glad to help you guys out. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, if you have any interest in coaching, please head over to superlivingtoday.com. It's been a really, really odd January. So many of my clients were sick with COVIDs and whatnot. A lot of people were sick, and it was dramatically different from last January. And I'm not getting into a COVID spiel, but what I'm saying is coaching was a little bit more slow. A lot of people sick, not as many people signing up for coaching. So I do have about 5 coaching slots open. So if you're interested, it's only $80 a month. All right. I've been on low carb all week. Like, just how I like to eat. It's not paleo. It's not keto. I've just been eating meat, fruits, and vegetables basically all week. A little bit of cheese. And I can kind of see my face slimming out a little bit. I don't know. Hard to tell with that big gray mustache coming in. Let me know how you guys are doing, where you're tuning in from, and if you're training today. Now, if you look right here, like it's impossible for me to eat anymore as an old guy without getting like food on my clothing. All right, let's dive into things. Stein was first. I thought maybe somebody would beat Stein today, but Stein only has one loss in his entire season, or his entire career. What's going on, Rude? Happy Friday. Nicholas, howdy, y'all. Got about 1 foot of snow in Ontario. Busy shoveling and great workout. That's one thing that'll kill your lower back. Take a day off after that sucker before you do deadlifts and squats, right? We were supposed to get a lot of snow here, but honestly, it was no big deal. Not a big deal at all. We got a couple inches, a little bit of ice, and nothing major. Rico, hope everyone's doing great. Hey, Rico, how you doing? Eric, happy Friday, folks. Thanks for tuning in, Eric. And Troy, hope you're feeling better. I did cardio 3 times this week. I haven't lifted yet, but we're going to lift tomorrow. And I woke up on Monday. I had a little bit of a lingering cough. And slowly over the week, it has dissipated to the point where I might only have a minor cough once every 2 hours. Right before the live, though, I sneezed a couple times and my sinuses were dripping like crap. So that's just how it goes. All hell usually breaks loose right before the live video. Paul, how's it going, Paul? Go Team Massive. And a lot of these guys that you're seeing are members of Team Massive. And I would encourage you guys to head over to superlivingtoday.com and check out Team Massive. It's a really good environment. I enjoy it. I enjoy being grounded with Team Massive every day. I wish I had even more time to interact with the guys, but I do my very best. But check it out. And Woodulus from Scotland. Congrats on reaching 90K subs. Thanks. I didn't even realize it, and then people started congratulating me. I went over to Social Blade, which is a website that projects, and projected me to hit 100K in like 6 months. So that would be kind of cool, you know. I'm not obsessed about numbers. My obsession is helping people, obviously. But, after grinding away for almost 9 years on YouTube, it would be really nice to get that plaque. So if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And usually, funny thing, every time you say that on YouTube, somebody unsubscribes. So thank you to the unsubscriber. Soy Sauce Banana, congratulations on the world record for olive consumption. Dude, you have no idea. For those of you unfamiliar, I started, we're going to do our 96-hour run on Black Friday weekend, and I realized that there was 300 days to 96 hours. So you can check out more about this, whatever I just said, on Instagram at Ben the Barman. But I decided for 300 days I'm going to eat clean. No sugar, no flour, no seed oils, no crap at all. No alcohol, nothing. And I'm going to do it for charity. So every day I'm going to give $1. What we're going to do is we're going to put $1 in the bank. And then come that weekend, we're going to take the money and we're going to give actual meat and eggs. A lot of the food pantries are handcuffed because they have to have canned meat and box this and that. And I'm not trying to make some great statement, but what we're going to do with the money from this savings or this charity drive is give people actually meat they can use, meat they'll want to use. We're not just going to give them random, like, here's bison, or that sort of thing. We're going to give them bacon. We're going to give them eggs. We're going to give them chicken tenders, things, mince, ground beef, things actual families would use. So I decided for 300 days I'm going to eat clean and try to raise money to feed some people. So you can check out more about that on Instagram at Ben the Barman. And you guys are willing to donate. I'm going to have a link up soon enough. I'm going to do not GoFundMe. I got to find a place to put it up, to be honest with you. But anyway, regarding the olives, one of the that's kind of like my diet candy. They have blue cheese stuffed olives and jalapeno stuffed olives. And I have to really watch myself. They're only like 300 calories a piece. But, man, you can crush some calories in olives. Invisible, how's it going? How's it going, Invisible? And Raphael, how's it going, Raphael? All right, Ab Reyes. Tips for training when you're over 40. Tips for training when you're over 40. Number one, nail your nutrition. You don't have a lot of wiggle room when you are over 40. So you have to be pretty consistent and pretty precise. Now, you want a lot of muscle. You want a lot of strength. If that's your obsession, the deeper you are obsessed about this sort of thing, the more you need to be precise. Repeat. The more obsessed you are about looking good and building muscle and building strength, the more precise your nutrition should be. No excuses. Too many guys come to me, they're like, I want to build muscle and strength, and they won't nail their nutrition. It's kind of like saying, I want a Lamborghini, and then they won't work for it, right? It's kind of the same principle. Now, over 40 training, focus on, don't just focus on barbell work. And I've been beating this drum more and more the last year, because what we understand scientifically, is that dumbbells and machines are good for hypertrophy. I've been basically beating this. Look, you guys know I love squats and deadlifts and barbell lifts. I also love dumbbell lifts. But I've been beating this drum forever. I've been against programs like Strong Lifts forever, and that hasn't gone over very well with their community. But it's too much of a focus on lifts that aren't going to give you enough muscle mass because you're not as good with form as you would think. So for the over 40 lifter, you really want to put your focus on dumbbells and machines while bringing up your exercise form on your barbell lifts in the background, like squats and deadlifts. So balance your training. Don't avoid machines. Don't avoid dumbbells. Balance your training. If anything, use a little bit less volume and then add volume on specific lifts where it makes sense. So we want to kind of find that sweet spot in training where we are feeling pretty good and recovering pretty good, and we're not beating the crap out of our body. And then slowly you can add a set here and there, like, maybe I'll add another set on bench. I'm feeling okay. Another set on dumbbell rows. I'm feeling okay. Kind of grow your training into something bigger, from small to big, if the demand or if it makes sense. And I hope that makes some sense. And what else do I have? Over 40 lifter. Men, you need to get your weight under 240. You do. Bottom line, I don't care if you're tall or short. Longevity statistics show that all the body really cares about is your heart. And the heart has to maintain a lot of weight, whether it's muscle or fat. If you doubt this, look at how many wrestlers or football players or athletes over 240 pounds have heart attacks. It doesn't matter if you're in good shape. It doesn't matter if you exercise. It doesn't matter if you eat right. You are increasing the risk. So if you're over 40, you need to get your weight down. I'm not going to lecture you like your dad, but you need to get your weight down. All right, Desert Jackal, how you feeling, big guy? Let me do that on cue. Not bad. I'm about 90%. I have a little bit of a cough, but it doesn't prevent me from doing anything. I'm not doing any intense cardio. Yesterday I did some surging on the elliptical. It was snowing and raining, so we couldn't get outside for a walk or a hike. So I did some surging on the elliptical to test myself. And surging basically is the last 15 seconds of every hour. I go as quick as I can or want to. And I didn't cough. I didn't have a coughing fit. So I think I'm pretty much, other than the slight lingering cough and sinus issues, I'm right there. Big Bill Monte, how's it going, Bill? Hope all is well. Big, hairy, ugly dude. Happy to see you doing better. Thanks. Bill is a Washington Commanders fan. Are you not, Bill? The Washington Commanders. I'm curious, anybody that's a football fan, what you think of the name Commanders. The first thing that came to my mind was the Washington Commies. Nicholas, thoughts on low starch carbs for muscle building? Well, when it comes to carbs, you have your grain-based starchy carbs, like or you have your grain-based carbs, complex carbs like rice and oatmeal and things like that. You have your legumes, which tend to have a lot of carbs, like black beans and things like that. You have roots, which are like potatoes, and they have a moderate amount of carbs. Not bad. Then you have your plant-based choices, and those can be all over the spectrum. So with plant-based choices, you can have things that are a lot of volume with lower end of the spectrum carbs, like tomatoes. You have your low glycemic fruits like raspberries and blackberries. And then you have your more starchy or higher calorie, higher carb things like banana. right? And some other fruits. So when I look at carbs for muscle building, the first thing we need to consider is health. So we try to keep 80% of our food choices something that's full of vitamins and minerals, like real food, right? So potatoes, oranges, rice, plant-based stuff, whatever. Good quality bananas, whatever. Good quality carb sources. Then from there, you have to decide based on your calorie intake and your eating preference, what type of carbs you're going to eat, what type of carbs you need. When I was younger, I could crush 3,700 a day and maintain, and I needed more. I needed a different carb profile. Now that I'm older and I developed diabetic from food issues, from food abuse. And I'm not shy about saying that. I mean, that led me here. I was strong and I was big, but I was abusing food. I do not like to do anything with substantial carbs. I feel better on no grains. I feel better on no sugar, no flour, no seed oil. And I think in general, if I were to give you guys general advice, it would be to rely on plant-based, some plant-based choices every day. I eat raspberries, blackberries, tomatoes, and mushrooms nearly every day, olives every other day, and then I add in whatever other veg or plant-based I want. So I get like a base of micronutrients. So the point I'm trying to make here is general advice. Have some fruits and some veggies, have your plant-based stuff. And then from there, you want to, if you need more carbs, go with the roots like potatoes. And I'm not telling you not to do grains, but then grains are kind of the next step up. Find the grains you like. For me, I did a lot of white and black rice and proteins with oatmeal. Those are just the grains that I enjoyed. And beyond that, you get kind of into, well, there are other, we talked about the other carb sources. If you like beans, add beans. If you like bananas, add bananas. If you have the calories, you can add those higher calorie food choices, plant-based food choices in. Beyond that, you have processed sugar, processed flour, fast food, junk food, that kind of stuff. Avoid that as much as you can, especially if you gain weight easily. Avoid that crap. It's highly dangerous. It's highly addictive. It drags us down a shithole. And just do your best to avoid that. I don't know if that helped, Nicholas. I hope it did. Desert Jackal, Southwest Colorado. And more ages, more lays. Lath from the UK. How's it going? Olympic grade lurker, going to be hitting pole day after this. You're in Kentucky, right? Kentucky. Get after that pole day. Amanda P., how many warm-up sets do you recommend for squats? It really depends on your first working set, Amanda. If you are, say, doing 185, I would do the bar by 1 or 2 by 10. The point of the warm-up is to bring your body temperature up, to feel the movement, to see if there's anything inherently wrong with your body that day with regards to that movement, and to kind of stimulate your central nervous system and get it up to speed. So let's say you say you're a woman and you're starting with 185. I would do the bar 1 to 2 sets by 10, and then I might do 95 by 6. Then I might do 135 by 3 to 4, maybe 155 by 60, or 155 to 160 by 2, and then your working set. So usually it's like 3 or 4 warm-up sets. If you are somebody that's squatting way over 400 or 500, we would have to adjust. Dungeons and Dumbbells. Happy Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. I'm actually going to have Dungeons and Dumbbells on here during a live in the coming future with Faz, I believe. I'd like to introduce you to Derek, who is behind Dungeons and Dumbbells. And I would like you all to please do me a favor. If you don't mind, head over to his YouTube channel and subscribe. He's a good guy. He's working hard he's me 9 years ago. And I respect Derek. Really good guy. And, give his channel a look. That's all I ask. Ice finally dropped on us in Kentucky last night. Still nothing some salt would have handled. Right. They're outside all night long outside of my window, plowing and doing all kinds of shenanigans, and people are having heart attacks and, over 2 inches of snow. And I'm not making fun of it. I just find it odd, to see how different the reaction is with when you live in an area that doesn't get a lot of snow compared to an area that is just always under snow. Dave, sounding better, big, hairy, ugly dude. Not much accumulated here, but it's ice. Pretty much the same here. Nicholas, should I work out when sick? No. I'm not a big fan of this at all. You got your immune system, and your immune system's weak, and everything else is weak. I am not a fan of working out when you are sick. A lot of people ask me questions about deloads, and I always advise saving your deloads for the most part, not as a rule 100% of the time. Save your deloads for when you're going on vacation or holiday. Save your deloads for when you're sick. Save your deloads for your birthday. Save extra rest days for the holidays. There's so much that goes on during a year where you can kind of use that time to get away from the gym and heal and lick your wounds and kind of deload. It's a shame when you see somebody force a deload when they don't need it, and then they get sick and they're away from the gym for 2 weeks. So as far as sickness, I really don't recommend exercising. I really don't. Rest. Listen to your body. It's a long journey. It's hard. I hadn't been sick for 5 or 6 years, and then I came down with something for 3 weeks, and then I was okay for 6 days, and then I came down for COVID. Like, I've been sick like 6 weeks out of the last 7. It's been a crazy winter after not being sick for 5 or 6 years. And it's hard. I want to lift. I want to exercise. What I recommend is when you're sick, and we'll move on after this, the day after, or the day you wake up and you feel kind of good, you kind of feel better from being sick, don't go to the gym that day. Give it an extra day. You wake up, you were sick for a while, you wake up today, you kind of feel good. You're like, I kind of feel good. Well, you feel good compared to yesterday, but you're still not 100%, likely not 100% today, so give it another day. All right, do you believe all naturals should get close to a 365, 405 bench? No, not at all. Very few will ever hit a 315 bench. I never hit a 405 bench in competition. I trained for 35 years. Obviously, I had time off. When I trained with some of the top powerlifters in the world, there weren't very many, having a 440, 450 bench was like strong for a Lillibridge. Now, if you set the outliers aside, like the guys that are really super strong at bench, like Alpha Destiny and like Freaky D, the average natural, if they get to 275, they're doing very good. If they get to 315, they're the top 1%. You do not, and I'm speaking from all the times I've been in competition, I don't recall any natural in all the time I've went to competitions. The competitions I've been at, I've not seen a natural hit 400. So I've seen it in the gym, but very rarely bigger guys that I've trained with. But, should naturals get close to 4 or 5? Nah. 275 to 315, you get there first, and that could take quite a long time. BKS Gaming, hey, what's going on? Hey, Fat Albert. Not you. I'm just running that through my head. Mixed martial farts. Could you please expand on the point you made previously about how lifetime natural gains figures don't necessarily apply to younger underweight males? Yes. If your body, let's say you take what the weight standards from 40 years ago that everyone laughs at, like men should be 160 at 5'10" or whatever. That's what I was heading into college. Okay, so those are weight standards we laugh at currently. That's just the way it is. But if you are underweight, you have lower bone density. These are generalizations. Less bone mass. You're going to have less muscle mass. You're going to have less skin. You're going to have less blood. You're going to have less everything. And it's not like if you're underweight, you have less of everything and just a normal amount of muscle mass. No, you don't. You compare a bunch of, well, in my day, a bunch of 8th and 9th graders that were 120 pounds and they had gone through puberty, but they were still underweight. They don't have a lot of muscle mass. They are underweight physiologically from a more normalized post-pubescent amount of muscle mass. So if you had somebody like that was like 6 foot 120 and they got up to, let's say 160 or 150, some of that mass would just be their body normalizing, coming back up to normal. All we can really do is frame things on the end game. So if you are 6 foot 120, 6 foot, your natural muscle building potential is going to be around 188, give or take. Not a carved in stone number, but a general rule. Your lean body mass, if you had no fat at all, would be around 188. 188. Okay. So right now, there's a good chance if you were 6 foot 100, there's a good chance your lean body mass is around 95 to 100. Let's just say 100. You would have 88 pounds of lean body mass to add. That is weight without fat. Okay. Weight without fat. That's not all muscle. That's not all muscle. Okay. So when somebody that is like 6 foot 120 with 100 LBM, lean body mass, puts 50 pounds on, they're like it was all muscle. No, it was not all muscle. It was blood, it was skin, it was bone, it was all the stuff, and some of it was muscle. Does that make sense, mixed martial farts? Because some of it's going to be muscle. But when you go from 6 foot 120 to say 6 foot 220, and you're at your maximum muscle building potential, you're not gaining 100 pounds of muscle. That would be ridiculous. So I hope that helps a little bit. Ian, thoughts on how many meals a day is optimal? Well, from a muscle building standpoint, generally what we understand, and this is not a rule, and this is something the supplement engineer and I used to talk about, eating every 3 to 4 hours seems to be the best scenario for muscle building. Now, don't get your undies in a bundle. I only eat 2, maybe 3 meals a day. I'm maintaining. Optimal sometimes has to do with your schedule. If you are training hard, that's going to overcome any minor deviation from optimization. So if you can only eat 2 meals a day, but you're training hard, you're going to be close to optimal as far as muscle building, packing on muscle. That's just the bottom line. So for the average individual, you probably want to try to get, if I were telling you, hey, Ian, start with 4 meals a day. Let's see where your calories are. Let's go with 4 meals a day. How we structure the meals would depend on when you are hungry, what your schedule looks like, etc. Guys, let me know if the feed is going okay. I just had the internet dip a little bit here in Ohio with the snowstorms and the weather. I want to make sure that the quality of the feed is okay. Big Bill. Plan to resume bulking by now. I've been holding off as it's tough to train hard with my back still bad. How to work back if my bulk starts before I can do them? Look, Bill, the first thing I would say to you if you were standing here to me is like next to me is like give deads and squats a break for a while. There's a lot you can do to build muscle. Building muscle is like attitude. It's an attitude. If I couldn't squat or I didn't deadlift for 20 years. I didn't even know the deadlift was a real lift. In my day, the bodybuilding, workouts and magazines never really talked about the deadlift, never really stressed the deadlift. So, man, barbell rows, dumbbell rows, seated cable rows, lat pull downs, pull ups, machine rows, T-bar rows, Meadows rows. You got a ton of back exercises that can pack on mass. You need to strap on your Versa grips, and you need to get them strong. As far as legs, it's the same thing. Leg presses, hack squats, leg extensions, leg curls, Romanian deadlifts, glute ham raises, sissy squats, Bulgarian split squats, combinations, supersets. There's a ton of stuff you can do. Don't let a minor injury prevent you from attacking the iron, Bill. Do what you can do. Go hard in the paint. Gaining 1.5 to 2 pounds a month, you'll be fine. In fact, with how many mediocre squats I see, I would actually bet cash money that without squats, if you're training hard, there's a chance you might do better than with squats, the average person. Olympic grade lurker. I'm glad I have the ability to buy my meat in bulk from a local farm. Can't find eggs until spring, though. Yeah, that's more and more as I research. And look, I used to be dismissive of this stuff. Like, organic, free range. It's just an excuse to raise the price, right? Well, the more I research this, the more I find that's not true. The more I find that grass-fed free-range cattle have better omega-3 and omega-6 profiles. Their PUFAs are lower. And if you don't know what PUFA is, search PUFA and free-range cattle. And look, the nutrition, the fat profiles of eggs and meat that is grass-fed compared to all this grain-fed mass crap that like the vegans are against, and I'm more and more moving away from that in my personal life. The more you research, the more you realize there is something to this. And it's not just hype. Like the grain-fed people would like you to believe it's hype. But from a health standpoint, when you look at PUFAs and omega-3 and 6 profiles and stuff like that, there are reasons to go with grass-fed. Now, a lot of people smirk, and I used to smirk, this is a rich person problem, right? This is a problem for somebody that, look, you got choices to make in life, right? If you're serious about your body, I'm not telling you to run out and buy all grass-fed, but you should probably, like, the 10% difference, the maybe 15% difference, whatever it happens to be, I would rather right now, look, I'm going to be 55. I want to have everything that goes into my body as good as it can be, right? That's the sense of urgency I have with maybe 20 years to live. And one thing I would say to you guys is, do you have to go to all grass-fed? Well, not necessarily. But you should take it seriously, what you put in your body. It's time to take it seriously. And maybe do some research on PUFAs. Maybe do some research on why grass-fed is actually better from a nutritional standpoint. And maybe find a way to push $50 out of your budget for crap that you've been drinking, like the Starbucks drinks and the energy drinks, which I drink, and spend it on a little bit higher quality meat and eggs. Just a suggestion. Just a suggestion, something to think about. Ian, is discussing biomechanics the new fad in the industry? I don't know, man. You know, the fads jump around. They're like distractions. And I call them fads, which is kind of a disservice because there can be some advantages to each of these things. But each generation has like a huge push that really, when you look at the body of work from the previous generations, was absolutely not needed for results, was absolutely not needed for recovery. Now, in some cases, can these things be beneficial? In some cases, but you certainly don't want to overinvest in the hype of the day without there being a reason to invest in the hype of the day. It's as simple as that. I do not follow channels like Knees Over Toes Guys or Squat University or things like that because I find that stuff distracting. If I need a solution, if there is a problem in the gym, then I go hunt down a solution. The way it is in the fitness industry, you're inundated with solutions for problems you don't have. Let me repeat. You are inundated with solutions for problems you don't have, and it creates a problem which you now have to solve. Now, guys, YouTube just showed a drop to one person watching. I'm not sure if YouTube actually dropped. Oh, it's back up to 71. Looked like a glitch. Is everything going okay? 3 Days Grace. Thoughts on biohacking channels like Leo and Longevity? Never heard of it. I'm not trying to cause beef between you two. Generally want to know whether those are... I've never heard of it, 3 Days Grace. Not that I... It's just so many channels out there that... There's literally like 200,000 in the fitness industry. I've never heard of it. The word biohacking sends up a trigger, though. If you want to biohack, it's pretty simple. Stop eating white sugar, white flour, seed oils, maybe reduce your grains a little bit. Stop fucking eating highly palatable processed foods and fast foods. There's your biohack. Shout out to the Canadian truckers. UG123. Is it okay if I don't track progression on isolations as long as I train close to safe max reps? Interesting question. Like, I want to know what I did last time, and I want a shot at beating it. And there is no downside to tracking progression on isolations. There is no real time investment, extra time investment involved. There's no upsides to something like that. Now, if you have isolations that are dead in the water, you might have to rethink how you attack them. For example, side laterals. You get into the gym, maybe you start with 15-pound side laterals. You train for a year, you go hard, and like 30s feel like bricks, like you can't even move them, maybe 6 good reps. You're like, what's the point of doing a side lateral? Well, at that point, you have two choices. You can try different exercise variation, or you can try something like rest pause. So I have what's called a bulldozer protocol. It's basically a rest pause protocol. You'll do five mini sets. You start out, let's say you start with 25 on side laterals. You do as many as you can till failure or near failure. Then you wait 15 seconds. You do as many as you can, wait 15 seconds, do as many as you can, wait 15 seconds, do as many as you can. And you do 5 of these, and it's basically one set with 5 mini sets. And what you do is you can add up the reps. And let's say you got 47. It's a lot easier to go from 47 to 48 on a rest pause protocol on side laterals than it is to go from 30s on 3 sets of 6. Does that make sense? So you have a choice at that point. Do you move on to a different exercise? Or do you try something different like rest pause work? But either way, I'm in the gym to track progress. There's no time investment involved. And I take every damn set seriously in the gym. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think the best way to go is to take every set seriously. You might have done 6 reps with 30s on side laterals 100 times. But when you go into the gym today, if you're going to do them, you need to get everything you can out of them. Sebastian, tips on avoiding runner's knee. The first thing is to not run on pavement. Not run on pavement, and I can't stress this enough. The pounding on your joints on pavement is far greater than on trails. People smirk when they hear you run on a trail because it seems kind of weird. You know, there's rocks and roots and uneven ground. You're going to get injured. You're going to tear something. Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's softer ground. There's more challenges. So your tendons and ligaments and muscles and everything tend to strengthen better, in my opinion. So beyond that, you want to adjust your running frequency and intensity to the point where you might have to dial it down a little bit. And beyond that, I'm no expert in runner's knees. Those are the best tips I can give you. All right, guys, we are about 42 minutes in. Keep the questions coming. If you're new here, post up your questions. Don't be shy. Just jump on in. If you guys need coaching, head over to superlivingtoday.com. Click the coaching tab, please. It's only $80 a month. I'd love to work with you. And if you need a workout, there's a workout tab at my website, superlivingtoday.com. There's tons of choices. There's a bulking and cutting PDF over there that's golden. If you are struggling to get your pull-ups and push-ups up, there's a PDF, so head over there and check it out. All right, Troy. Been deadlifting for the first time for 4 weeks. Last week pulled my back. Not that bad, but have a back problem history. Should I replace deads? Well, first off, Troy, I would say when you return to deadlifting, are you easing up slowly? You need to ease up very slowly or you put yourself in a precarious position. Second, and the most common thing is I'm being polite, your form probably sucks. Most people, you need to have somebody like me look at your form. And we need to work on things. Having your form suck isn't a character issue. Like, you're not like an idiot, right? You just don't know things that somebody like I would know. So you can either do something like sign up for coaching, sign up for Team Massive where you can submit form videos, or just send me one video on Instagram at Ben the Barman. If your back is jacked up and you still want me to look at form, wait a week, let it heal a little bit, and then come back and do a very moderate amount of weight. Guys, the YouTube just dumped and said I only have one person on here again. Something really crazy is happening with YouTube. So if you guys are experiencing any issues with that, let me know. All right, where are we? I got to go back to where we were. Whoops. Where we were. All right, here we go. BKS Gaming. They should have left it as a Washington football team. That sounded better. I agree. That's a little bit better. Paul, invite all that tuned in to join our monthly challenge. We have 100 rep deadlift. Over on Team Massive, we do a monthly challenge. And this month is like 55 or 60% of your deadlift max for 100 reps. What time can you get it done in? 32 minutes, 38 minutes, an hour? Kind of a crazy challenge. UWM8, if you train a muscle hard every day, 8 to 12 days, how much less muscle compared to once a week? If you train a muscle hard you're training a muscle every 8 to 12 days. Look, that it's not a big difference. And the thing I've been beating on this channel, the drum I've been beating on this channel for so many years, is if you train consistently and you train hard, over the course of 4 or 5 years, everything's going to even out. Now, 12 days, 10 days is kind of my limiter. If you get 10 days out from squats, I get a little bit nervous because I think the connective tissue tends to weaken. This is my opinion, but the connective tissue tends to weaken a little bit more rapidly than muscles. So I think you kind of increase risk of doing something silly. If you're training every 8 to 12 days, I'm assuming you're not lifting only once in 8 to 12 days. I'm assuming there's 2, 3, or 4 workouts in that mix. So my best suggestion would be to find a way to get that frequency to a week, depending on your workout structure. You might have to adjust your split, but I think it can be done. Olympic grade lurker, should rolled oats be avoided? I don't know. It's a real food. There's some controversy in some circles about grains and whatever. Am I a fan of grains? Not really. Have I eaten them over the years? Of course. I just find that my body feels better without them. I'm no expert on rolled oats. I honestly didn't even know there was a discussion between rolled oats and other oats. I'll have to check it out. I'm not one on this channel that's going to sit and pretend I know everything. Oddly enough, I've never been asked that question before, and it's an interesting question. So let me do some research. Oh my FG, can you build muscle with lightweight speed work? No. Lightweight, no. Can you build muscle lightweight? No. No. You have to progress. Progression, no matter what training style you use, there has to be progression in the mix. Progression will get you stronger over time. Whatever you do, if you're not seeking strength in the gym, but whatever you do, you must seek progressive overload. And lightweight becomes heavyweight. I've missed these streams. It's been a month for me. I also kind of lost interest in working out, but I should get back on it, even if it's just calisthenics. Look, the best advice I can give you, like everybody has periods like that, where they don't feel like lifting. And I have periods like that, life, stress, work, lifting for 36 years. Some days you just don't feel like doing it. Some days you just feel like watching a movie, eating pizza, having a couple beers, and relaxing from all the pressure. The one thing I would say, though, is when you guys get to those points where you don't feel like lifting, put together a 2-day-a-week program with 2 sets on compounds, 1 on isolation, and just drag your sorry ass to the gym for 30 to 35 minutes twice a week. It's like brushing your teeth. You got to remind yourself, I don't feel like brushing. I don't feel like flossing. You might not feel like flossing your nasty old buckies, your nasty old teeth. But you know what? If you don't, there's ramifications. You're going to have stank mouth. And, you're going to feel like mentally like I'm a slug. The same thing with lifting. There's ramifications. If you don't lift, if you don't bridge those periods where your motivation wanes, there's my COVID cough. you're going to feel like a slug and your body's going to get softer and you're going to lose muscle. And for the small amount of time investment, you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, self, I'm a lazy piece of crap right now. I need to gird up my testicles and get in the gym for at least 2 sessions of 40 minutes. Johnny Miles, is it okay to use a slingshot on bench all the time? 100%. I have used a slingshot nearly on every set of bench, 90% of sets, the last 12 years. Eric Redbeard, happy Friday. Tuning in Ken from work. Don't work too hard. I believe Eric has a long work day. Lionel, do stomach vacuums actually shrink waist if body fat percentage stays the same? Do they shrink the waist? No. There's no magical mechanism that sucking in your gut is going to shrink your waist. You are conditioning your waist. Your waist is made up of internal fat or visceral fat. So as we gain weight, we don't just gain like the fat on our love handles and the fat on our belly and the fat on our arms and your face and all that kind of stuff. You gain fat internally around your organs. So you have that internal fat and then you have the other fat that we tend to focus on. And the only way you can shrink that is by losing fat. You could lose muscle as well, and that would shrink it, but that's obviously not what we're after. You can suck in your gut and gain more control. And when you measure things with a tape measure, that might show a smaller number, but it's not shrinking your waist. Legitimately. Nuno, what's going on? Raphael, when doing the bent over row, should one pull the bar to their belly button or chest? A good question, and I just answered a question for a client this morning on dumbbell rows. Don't think about it. Keep the groove natural. Keep the groove natural. Keep the focus on driving your shoulders and elbows back. Keep the groove natural. Let it go where it feels natural, and that's the best for every individual. If somebody tells you otherwise, like you got to flare your arms and pull the bar to your nipples or to your belly button or some other arbitrary place, every body is different. Not everybody. Every body is different. Torso lengths, arm lengths, limb lengths, leverages. For some, doing the barbell row more upright is better on their lower back. For some, it's harder on their lower back. There's too many variables to create arbitrary rules. Carlo, set 1, 12 reps at 100. Set 4, 6 reps at 115. I'm not a big fan personally of doing heavier work later when you're fatigued. I just don't like it. I think you're better off always on compound movements to do heavier work first when you can. Ian, just curious, you have a lot of bench programs, but haven't found any for squats and deads. Why is that? I have a lot of information on deads. But deads, if you go over to the main channel on my YouTube and you search deadlifts, you're going to get a ton of deadlift information. I actually have a lot of deadlift programs, probably on Tiger Fitness and Muscle and Strength. And I'm actually working. How many times can I say actually in an hour? I'm working on a frequent squat program. I'm working on a squat specialization program as we speak. I just need to find time to work it into my daily work week. But I think if you search Steve Shaw deadlift at Muscle and Strength or Tiger Fitness, you might find one. Ugh. Advice on strength training when it's cold. When your hands are cold. Good question. I have these little space heaters that I use in my home gym, and I don't know if you have a home gym, but you can get some pretty cheap space heaters. I got 2 of them, and they help a little bit. When you're cold, though, you obviously need to keep your core temperature warm. So that might mean a hoodie, sweatshirt. help. You want to keep your core temperature warm because when you get cold, I believe your blood or the heat tends to stay in the torso around the organs rather than the extremities. So if your hands are cold, it's a good chance. Just do what you can to keep your torso warm. And you also want to make sure you're doing enough warm-up sets or staying moving. If it's that freezing, though, it's space heater time. Thoughts on Greg Doucette's testosterone? Man, I have answered so many testosterone questions in the last month. And I'm not being critical at all, but it's just with testosterone, it's amazing how many people are getting on the hook, like a fish on the hook. Naturally, none of this stuff, creatine, testosterone, nothing is going to increase your natural physiological limits. Beyond that, most of you would be better off focusing on improving your training quality than spending money on testosterone. You'll get far more out of improving your training quality. What I would suggest is if you're interested in blowing your wad on testosterone, come over and sign up with a coach like myself. You'll get more out of your money per dollar than you will with testosterone. I guarantee it. And that's not a sales pitch. That's a reality. Because the reality is, most people mean well, but their training program is not up to speed. Their form is not up to speed, and they're not getting enough out of their training. That's just a reality. So if you want to spend money, use creatine. Now, from a scientific standpoint, you're like, oh, I don't want to coach with you. You're big, hairy. And I go, okay, fair enough. You want to try it. Scientifically, and this is science, there is not enough information to be conclusive on testosterone. There is plenty of information to be conclusive on creatine as a counterpoint. So does that mean testosterone is bad? Does it mean it is good? It means there is not enough information scientifically either way. So before you blow your money, you need to understand that. You need to understand it could provide some benefits, but scientifically they aren't supported yet. So there's risk involved. There is also risk involved when you're putting a new substance in your body that it may not agree with you in some way, some minor way. And that's probably a little turkey-lurkey, the sky is falling, but that's just something you need to know going in. Now, with all this said, would I ever spend my money, back in the day it was pro-hormones, and now it's testosterone. Would I ever spend my money on testosterone? No. I would not spend a cent. I know that hard training gets me where I want to go. I know there is money value in spending cash on other supplements that might have value, B12, D3, creatine. And I'm not going to do it. Me personally, I wouldn't recommend anybody spend money on it. Wait. Spend the money on something else. Spend the money on somebody helping you get your squat form fixed. Spend money on a good coach. I don't care who it is, me, anybody, whatever. Spend money on something that's going to actually help you get decent results. Very strong grip, but skinny forearms. Should I isolate them? I would need to know more. Like, what's your body weight? What's your height? What are your barbell row lifts? What are your bench lifts? I would simply need more information to make an intelligent analysis. Because quite honestly, if your forearms are 11 inches and your arms are 13 inches, it's not a forearm problem. That's a general strength problem. Does that make sense? I know you made a video on this, but could you summarize strength standards for dumbbells only? Dumbbell bench, dumbbell overhead press. If I am in a room with you and we're having a drink and we're talking strength standards, and I would want you to get to 150s for a guy, I'd want you to get to 150s by 10s on dumbbell rows. You can get there. It's not as hard as it seems. We just have very low standards when it comes to dumbbell rows. Dumbbell overhead press, 80s are the bare minimums for me. Seated or single arm standing, 80s are the bare minimums. Dumbbell bench, probably 90s are the bare minimums, but I think 100s are a better goal. Dumbbell curls, that's a hard one. I think you can get to 40s pretty reasonably over time. Beyond that, are you built? Are your leverages built for dumbbell curls? Does it aggravate your joints and tendons and stuff like that? Dumbbell curls are a little bit more complicated because being the type of lift they are, they don't always feel the best for certain individuals when you get super heavy. Olympic grade lurker, testosterone is a waste of money, just better buying food. Honestly, I would have to agree. I would rather have you spend that money on a coach or squat form or grass-fed beef or better egg quality or better food quality. That's my opinion. You can do with it what you want. You can stick it where you want. Right up my ass if you want. Vinny P, what's up, brother? Listening at work and looking forward to being able to move some weight. I hope your weekend is good, Vinny. Vinny's a client of mine. Vinny has some massive arms and a great work ethic, and it's a joy to work with him. UWM, when saying you should do 9 to 12, 15 sets per muscle group a week, does bench and rows and pull-ups count as half or full sets for triceps, biceps? When you look at a major muscle group and you're looking at doing 9 to 15 sets a week, those are for the major muscle group. So when I'm structuring a program for somebody and I do 9 to 12 sets per major muscle group, I then go in and do an additional direct number of sets for biceps, triceps, traps, that sort of thing. All right, Big Bill Money. I don't like the Washington Commanders, but it could be worse. Oh, yeah, it could be worse. I wanted Red Wolves, but they said trademark issues. I was kind of thinking the Washington Pigskins. Have a little fun with it. But, hey, maybe I'm stupid. If I maximally develop my side delts, how many inches of width can this add to my shoulders as a natural? I got to look at the Steve Reeves standards. Does anybody have the Steve Reeves standards? I can't search the internet right now. But there, if you search, let me grab my handy dandy phone. If you search Steve Reeves, I believe it's a Steve Reeves. Let's see what the worldwide interwebs gives us. Steve Reeves body standards. They might be ratios. I can't remember. It's been a while since I looked at this stuff. Steve Reeves, greatest physico. Do they have his shoulders? Arms, chest, waist, thighs, calves, nationality. No, they don't have his shoulders. I can't tell you offhand. I would have to search. It's been a while since I looked at specific numbers. So I do apologize, but understand when you're measuring your shoulders, you're going to have your chest and you're going to have your back in there as well. Lionel, do lats, rear delts actually push your shoulders out and make them wider? No, mass is mass. Like, lifting doesn't increase. This is one of the things I find silly about the lifting world. Like lifting doesn't widen your bones. It widens the muscles around your bones. So the only thing that's going to push your shoulders out is more mass. Chad, does getting the majority of your protein through processed foods make any real difference in muscle building? Well, yes. I mean, processed foods are filled with junk flours, junk sugars. They're not uh, inherently full of nutrients and fiber and things your body needs. Is it optimal? No. Will you probably still build muscle at a relatively normal pace? Yes. But look, I'm just being honest. If you're just doing protein bars and protein powder, there's some serious adjustments that need to be made that are bigger than muscle building. Life is not just about muscle building. And if somebody comes to me, I'm just going to be honest here. If somebody comes to me and says, I'm just doing protein powder and protein bars, I'm going to go buy that dude some pork chops and some eggs, some turkey mince, some sausages, something. Because this problem is bigger than muscle building. It's an issue with food quality, nutrients, etc. Brian, feed is fine on my end. Thank you, Brian. MG254, Kabuki Strength Bar. Your thoughts on it? Do you think it's worth the money for a home gym? Kabuki Strength Bar. Let me pull that up on the worldwide cell phone that I have here. We'll see what we get. Ready? Kabuki Strength Bar. Okay. Which bar are we talking about here? Because you have the cambered bar, you have the Duffalo bar, you have the trap bar with the built-in jack, the transformer bar. I'm getting all kinds of bars. So I'm out of the loop. It looks like Kabuki has a lot of quality bars. I'm not sure which specifically we're talking about, so maybe somebody can clarify. If you have a home gym, what I recommend is a safety squat bar in the long run. If you're looking at the long run, a safety squat bar, something that's easier on your shoulders, probably a hex bar because they're cheap. Those would be my first two priorities. Maybe after that, a deadlift bar because if you like conventional deadlifts, it's a little bit easier on the joints or whatever. And after that, then you can start to get toy bars. But the deadlift bar would probably be an optional. All right, Christos, what's the most common mistake made by people that start running? Easy. Two common mistakes. They run on pavement, which beats the crap out of their body, and they try to run fast rather than running at a conversational pace. They try to turn running into a PR session. And really, in the long run, if you want to bring up your speed, that's not the best way. I can go out and run at conversational pace until my body breaks down. Like my cardiovascular system is not going to break down. It's not going to be a limiter. So somebody's car alarm is going off in the background. But that's the biggest mistake, trying to run fast and trying to run on pavement. Run at conversational pace. And if you want to build up your speed, there are ways to build up your speed. You have a floor and you have a ceiling in running. The ceiling is like your top end speed. We're not concerned with that. We're not sprinting. To bring up your floor or the average running pace, there's ways to do that, but trying to set a PR every run is not the best way. Does it matter if I eat different calories by a few hundred each day? A minor deviation is normal and okay. Like 7.5%, maybe a 10% deviation is okay. If you're in a surplus and the scale is moving. Beyond that, if you're somebody that's doing 20, 25, 30% deviation or more, you have some, you might have to look in the mirror and figure out what you're doing. All right, let me have a drink. You know what? A lot of questions today, and I appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. It's been a big live today, and I'm going to keep rolling as long as you guys have questions. So keep them coming. Look, hair, not bald. Can you see that? Not bald, bitches. I just choose to buzz and streamline because I look sexy. Poliquin clusters for size. Corey, I have a, if you have it over on my website, superlivingtoday.com, search bulldozer. I have a protocol that I like, and I don't know Poliquin's, I don't know his cluster protocol. And I'm sure it's fine for size. So I'll leave it at that. But I would also have you guys, if you're interested, check out, just go over to my website and search bulldozer. There's a bulldozer workout. I have a lot of my clients do bulldozer sets. Really good rest pause method for size. If I do 10 sets safe, max reps versus 15 per week, how much less muscle? This is way overthinking. Like you're trying to formalize or you're trying to create a formula. And the thing I've preached over the last 8 years, this isn't the way lifting works, okay? This is not the way lifting works. Lifting works by finding a reasonable working volume for you and then evolving your training based on needs. So if you find you need or want an extra set of barbell rows, you add a set. This type of generic throwing darts at numbers, trying to create formula, it has no application in muscle building. It's a fairy tale. It's a fantasy. It's like trying to find a ghost. They're non-questions. They're absolutely non-questions. There are factors in muscle building, training, evolving your training based on needs, doing the appropriate amount of hard sets so you don't get injured, but you still progress. That's the stuff that matters. This is just fairy tale, trying to create some meta narrative. It's trying to create a set of rules to follow instead of trying to go into the gym, work hard, and make adjustments. The real, and I'm not being hard on you, but really what you need to do is go into the gym, work hard, and make adjustments based on what's happening in the gym. That's all that matters. H. Kimball, what's going on in the big ATL? Thanks for answering questions last week. Thank you, sir. How to build unilateral shoulder strength if one of your shoulders is weaker. Well, I will tell you guys this. One side, for most of you, for nearly all of you, one side is always going to be weaker than the other. For right-handed people, your right-handed side is probably always going to be stronger on dumbbell benches and on dumbbell rows. That's just life. In my 3,800 million years of training, have I found a way to bring up one side so it's as strong as the other? No, I haven't. But what I've found is if you just follow a reasonable hypertrophy program, over time that difference is going to become more negligible, more trivial. It's more noticeable when you start out in lifting. With that said, you can do unilateral shoulder work. Probably go to my YouTube, and in the search button, search bulldozer laterals. There's a superset I have with bulldozer laterals and side upright rows. And you can do them both, or you can do this protocol and base your progression on this protocol on your weak side. So when the weak side, it's time to move up in weight, then you move up on your strong side as well. Rico, have you ever used elbow knee wraps or sleeves? If so, which one worked better for you? I've used knee wraps. I've never used elbow sleeves. And the reason being is I tried knee sleeves and I really didn't like knee sleeves. Now, I'm not telling you guys shouldn't use knee sleeves. Not at all. I just found them to be annoying. They were hard to get up. They continued to roll. They didn't feel comfortable. I just didn't like them. Can they provide some minor support and some minor benefits? I'm certain they can. But comparing the two, if you like knee sleeves, then rolling them up and keeping them on is easy. Knee wraps, on the other hand, if you're wrapping them properly, you need to take them off after every set, which is a royal pain in the butt. But look, if you're taking 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes between sets on squats, the flow that I was in was always loose. Immediately when the set was done, I would loosen the knee wrap. Then I'd immediately start rolling it, and then I'd set it down. I'd probably have 2 minutes left till I started the next set. So I'd have like a minute in there where I would have be able to catch my sanity, and then I'd have to start wrapping again. It's an endless cycle. So knee wraps can drive you crazy, but I always preferred knee wraps. But there's downsides. What's my genetic muscle building potential at 5'8"? So these are not rules, I want people to understand, but they are general guidelines. At about 5'8", your lean body mass potential is going to be around 168 to 170. That's if your body had no fat at all. So 168 to 170 at 15% body fat. Let's say it's 158 to 160. Sorry. Let's say you're at 160. Let's pull out the handy dandy calculator here. 160 divided by 190 would be about 16%. So if you're at max natural potential at 15%, you'd probably be somewhere in the 188 to 190 range. And 10 pounds below it, 178 to 180. Do you think the deadlift wasn't emphasized in the magazines because of the uniqueness and technicality of the lift? I really think, having talked to some old school lifters, that it was just part of evolution. Like when I interviewed Frank Zane, one of the common misconceptions is that Frank Zane wasn't strong. Frank Zane didn't do a lot of heavy compounds, blah, blah, blah. So what Frank told me was that when he was younger, they did a lot of what they called the odd lifts, ODD. And those were what we call the powerlifting lifts now. So the deadlift has been around forever. And Arnold did the deadlifts, and Frank did the deadlifts. But I think somewhere this is just my opinion, and this would be an interesting thing to explore. I think somewhere around the mid 1970s to maybe 1990s, the spandex era, the zebra pants era. It kind of was, it might have been in the programs, but it didn't have the focus it has now. Let's put it that way. I just don't remember it. I don't remember it, and maybe that's on me. I just don't remember hardly any focus on deadlifts. And if they were in a program, I know Franco did them. I know Arnold did them, but I even remember Mike Mentzer in his videos where he's teaching his heavy duty. I remember a guy doing deadlifts or lighter or whatever. They were there, but I just don't think there was the voracity and the passion for them that there was now. Lionel, if 1 versus 3 times a week has same hypertrophy, if volume is equated, can't you just do a couple extra sets per session and train every 8 to 10 days instead? What are you saying here? You mean just train every... Oh, I see what you're saying. So if you're mathematically trying to boil it down to average sets per week, can't you just add in a few extra sets? Well, that's probably what I would do if I could only train every 8 to 10 days. But that's the issue I have with this, Lionel, is there's better ways to rig things. You're not training just once every 8 to 10 days. You're training, probably very few people train 2 times in 8 to 10 days. Likely it's 3 or 4. So sometimes with clients that only have time to train 3 days every 8 to 10 days, what I do is add leg work at the end, or I add shoulder work at the end. So they'll train most of their muscle groups one time in 8 to 10 days, or they'll train 3 workouts. Let's say you have a 4 workout schedule, like every other day, or 2 workouts every 5 days. You'll have 3 workouts which you'll rotate between, which will bring up the average sets per week. Like say squats and shoulders and traps, back and biceps, chest and triceps, and then I will have them maybe add in leg work every day. There's just other ways to do it are better. Can you do it? Sure. Is it optimal? No. Here we go, guys. The party is here, and Ernst is here. Sorry, Ann, just being silly. Can I gain muscle mass in my legs using only leg extensions, leg curls, and seated calf raises? Occlusion training. Occlusion training isn't going to make up for the lack of progressive overload. Now, leg extensions and leg curls and calf raises are fine exercises, but you are not going to build hardly any mass with leg extensions, leg curls, seated calf raises, and occlusion band training. I'm going to be honest here, and it has nothing to do with you, MG. Like, occlusion band training is like the belief that if you masturbate after training or don't masturbate at all, that it's going to enhance your gains. Over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, it isn't going to do anything for you. It's just going to waste your time. Get strong on the basics. I'm not saying you are avoiding, but you need to do what's optimal. Squats, hack squats, leg presses, and then do all leg extensions and leg curls after the fact. You need to do the big hitters. I am not sure, so I'm not accusing you of this. But if this is a way around the mountain using lighter exercises and occlusion training, I will tell you 100%, over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, if you do a normal training program with progressive overload and consistency compared to something like this, I'll leave it at this, compared to something like this, you'll be far bigger using a conventional program. I don't believe over the course of 3, 4, 5 years that band training is it's not going to give you any better gains than conventional training. It's just going to take your time. And I'll stand firm in that belief, and anybody can crucify me that they want, but I'm pretty comfortable in that belief. Live is going great. Thanks for staying tuned, Stein. It's one of the better lives in a while, so keep the questions coming. The audio hasn't been interrupted, but the video feed paused for a minute here. Yeah, something might go on, so I apologize for that. Buffalo, one viewer is a new glitch on live. Loud and clear. Glad to hear it. Paladin, alternating versus simultaneous dumbbell curls. Good question. I find are both exercises okay? Yes. So some of this is going to come down to personal preference. I find alternating better because I can lean a little bit to one side and I can get a better feel and contraction rather than when I do both at the same time, I have to lean back a little bit. Mileage may vary. Use the exercise you like. I like alternating. I'm looking to bulk. Should I cut down cardio and add calories slowly or try one or the other first? Um, I'm not sure how much cardio you're doing right now. You probably want to normalize your cardio. Meaning, what do I mean by normalize? Well, let's set some standards here. If you're getting less than 5,000 steps, there's two ways I look at cardio. And I don't look at cardio as cardio. I look at cardio as general movement in a broader health concept, right? Excuse me. So, from a daily step standpoint, if you're getting less than 5,000 steps a day, we need to check your pulse. You need to get those steps up to 5,000 a day. Movement. And beyond that, I would suggest 1 hour a week of something that gets your heart rate up. I don't care if that's walking, incline uphill, Stairmaster, hiking, running, whatever. HIIT, whatever. So I would normalize your cardio. And when it comes to calories, you kind of have to analyze the difference between what you were doing and what you're doing now. And don't add too many calories. Maybe bump it up slowly, 300 or 400, see what happens for 5 days, and then adjust from there. Craig Ford said 70, and I'm not sure what I'm missing. Satish, I'm 42 years old. I've been training for 15 years. Now I'm scaling back and trying to maintain training injury-free with medium weights and high reps. Somehow I end up going for heavy weights. Well, that's a choice, and we need to understand that as a choice. At some point, if you've been training for a while and you have pretty much all the muscle and strength you want, it's okay to pull back on the intensity as long as, meaning like how heavy you're lifting, and do more reps. Maintaining is rather easy. How do I stop being addicted to training with heavy weights? Well, I guess I'd have to look at the context of your program. Are you randomly doing 1 rep max stuff? Well, all I can say is that's a good way to get injured. If it's just heavier stuff for 5 or 6, not a lot of downside to that. You have to be smart about it. Is it psychological that I'm not able to scale back? Yes, it's a choice. It's 100% a choice, and it's like doing something foolish. I'm just calling it what it is, and I'm not being critical of your character. We all have things like this in life. We do. But it is a foolish choice. Like I do foolish things. Trying to, do a 50K trail run is foolish. It increases the risk of injury. But there is a balance in life. Living sometimes involves doing foolish things that create good memories. I would need to know more, Satish, to be honest with you, because there's a little bit of a gray area here that I don't know exactly what you're doing. Nicholas, can you eat too much fiber? I've not found any point where you can eat too much fiber. I've had days where I've eaten a lot of tomatoes and pickles when I was, in the binge eating era, where I was like, I need to eat something or I'm going to binge eat ice cream. And I would eat a lot of fiber, but all it really would do would blow me out the next day. Can you explain how and when to deload? First off, for anybody that's interested, head over to the main page on my YouTube channel and search deload. You'll find several videos that'll go into this more in detail. Deloads are not something I generally advocate planning unless you are doing a specific type of program that's where overreaching is involved. When you reach a point where you feel physically fatigued, and that could be from lack of sleep or you feel beat up, then it's a good idea to maybe take a day or two away from the gym just to rest and recover and get some sleep. If you just feel beat up, don't just arbitrarily say, I'm going to take a week deload. I like to keep it more intuitive. Take a day or two off. When you come back, if you still feel beat up, it's your call. Take another day off from the gym or deload weight 20 to 25% and drop sets to 2 and just go lighter. But I don't like to arbitrarily schedule deloads. I like to take days away from the gym when I feel beat up, when I feel tired, when it's a holiday or my birthday or vacation or when I'm sick. I like to keep my time away from the gym in that lane. Leo, how's it going? Good, Leo. Thanks for tuning in. Have you watched Revival Fitness's 2-hour about Greg Doucette's main gaining? No, I can barely make it through a 2-hour movie. I have not watched it. It sounds probably pretty interesting. You know, the term main gaining gets tossed around, main gaining, maintaining, to the point where I don't even know what it means anymore. Does it mean gaining weight? Too much chaos, really. Too much overthinking. Sebastian, how do I calculate the 4 running speeds you spoke about in previous live streams? So let me go over that real quick for you guys. There are basically, and this is a dumbed down, very simple, very basic way of looking at running, walking, whatever. You have zone 1, 2, 3, 4, speed 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is walking. Okay? That's the low end of the spectrum, walking. Just walking down the street. 4 is sprinting at maximal speed. It's not sustainable for generally more than 10, 15, 20 seconds. Max speed, max sprint speed. That's zone 4, speed 4. In between there is where most people run. 2 and 3. Zone 2 is conversational pace. Running at a sustainable pace where you can hold a conversation like this. Me and my wife do that. That's the zone we run at. We're not trying to catch our breath to hold a conversation. That sounds a little bit awkward, but that's how it goes, right? That's how it goes. That's faster than zone 2. That's zone 3. Zone 3 is running just shy of a sprint, something you could probably sustain for anywhere from 30 to 60 to upwards of 120 seconds. A speed you can sustain that's faster than conversational speed, that's sustainable probably for 60 seconds. Now, is there a gear between those two? Obviously, there's degrees between those two. But from a running standpoint, 2 and 3 are the only ones that you'll really ever use. Conversational pace, and maybe once a week doing some work where you increase short bursts of zone 3. Leo, I've been lifting for a few months now with strong lifts. I failed squats. I dropped the weight on the safety bar. Leo, I'm going to be honest with you. Strong lifts is probably one of the worst strength training programs you can use, and it's absolutely one of the worst muscle building programs you can use. There's no reason to squat 3 times a week. That program doesn't have enough exercise variety, and certainly no dumbbells, which are great for hypertrophy and strength. It's an awful program. I do not advocate it in any way, and I do not encourage you to continue using it. There are far more better programs out there. I have programs on my website, superlivingtoday.com. I got my own 5x5s, just PDFs, tons of options. And you don't have to use my program. I'm not trying to be a salesperson. Use another reasonable program, but for the love of God, don't use that program. There's too many issues with it. Mike, that must be a theme on your web this week. Heard guys talking in the gym about if you want to build muscle, you need high reps, not heavy weight. On and on that nonsense goes. You need progressive overload no matter where you start. And progressive overload's a vehicle. And good grief, the fairy tales and fiction people create. Like somehow you can just use lightweight and do it for a lot of reps, and the muscle fairy is going to show up. That's 100% bullshit. Robert, I've been applying the rep goal method to Faz's Barbarian program. Feel so privileged to have both of you as sources of information. We both appreciate your support. OG Mike, I'm 63, purchased your Massive Iron book a year ago. The rep goal system has been beneficial. Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. I really am looking this year to put out a new book because there's so much more I've learned and evolved since then. And honestly, I've sold, this might sound ridiculous, but I've sold over 10,000 copies of Massive Iron, digital or hardcover. And it's just time to put out another book. Do you think it's smart to try and gain on multiple compound lifts at once for a guy near 50, or should I just pick one to focus on for several months? No, multiples is fine. You just you need a good mix. Dumbbells, barbells, machines, maybe some body weight stuff. It needs to be a good program, bottom line. For those of you guys interested, I do sell custom programs at superlivingtoday.com. And I'm not trying to turn this into a commercial, but this is what I do for a living. So if you guys do want a custom program based on your equipment and age and that sort of stuff, check it out at superlivingtoday.com. How much cardio should you incorporate into weightlifting workouts? So, Carlton, the bare minimum is 5,000 steps a day is probably a good goal. If you're down around 3,000, it's just not a good place to be for general health. And for general health, having an hour a week total where you get your heart rate elevated is a good idea. For me, when I was working, I didn't like doing cardio, after lifting. I would work hard and I'd want to go home and eat. So what I would typically do is go out and hike, like on the weekends. So I'd get it all in on the weekends. So in general, for general health, outside of the weightlifting, side of things, or resistance training, you don't need any cardio to look good, to build muscle. With that said, we want to take care of our body. So 5,000 steps a day and an hour of cardio that gets your heart rate elevated is a good idea. Ad Slammer, I've pain in my left forearm. Feels like the bone, but probably tendon. The left forearm on the inside. That's elbow tendonitis. I guarantee there's a good chance you have it right here, and that's elbow tendonitis. And if that is the case, get yourself VersaGrip Pros. They cost $60, $65. You're overusing your grip, and that will help. If it's not right here on the inside of your elbow at that little bone part, then it's some other injury, and at that point you have to see a doc. All right, the Cadillac Kabuki Strength Bar. The Cadillac Kabuki Strength Bar. Let me do that here. Ready? Cadillac Kabuki Strength Bar. Let's see what we get. I get a Cambridge Swiss football bar. There's a Cadillac bar. I think it's hold on. Where are we? Is it this thing? Boy, that's not working well. It's like a football bar. It provides a neutral grip, and I don't know. It's an expensive bar. You know, what I said earlier is probably the best advice I can give you. Um, in the long run, you're going to need a safety squat bar to, you know, if you're just an average lifter, that's better on your shoulders, and take care of your shoulders. I would get the safety squat bar and probably the hex bar, take care of your back, just for the average individual. And beyond that, then you could start to mess around with toy bars. Getting back into lifting after a traumatic brain injury and post-concussion syndrome. Glad to see you back at it. Take care of your body the best you can. Do what you can safely. Jim Worth just worked the one chicken wing. I think we're talking about the side lateral raises. Let me get a drink here, guys. We're an hour and 40 minutes in. I appreciate your support. I will stay on as long as you have questions. I have about 10 left. And if you sign up for coaching today, I'll talk to you this weekend while you're rolling. Cornerstone City 777. I've been lifting for 3 months and starting to build muscle, working out every other day. Never missed a workout. Your videos are very helpful. Thank you, and I appreciate your support. I sincerely do. Brandon, any real benefit for non-powerlifting athletes to work bench if driving hard at dips and overhead press? Yes, that's not enough for chest. That's not enough well-balanced program. What we know for hypertrophy is you need a pretty good exercise variety. That's beneficial. And dips are certainly a good exercise. Overhead press is certainly a good exercise, but that's a minimal program, and that's not going to be optimal for hypertrophy. You probably need a barbell bench, a dumbbell bench variation. I have a lot of my clients do dips and push-ups, supersets, a machine chest press, some type of isolation exercise where you can progress that, maybe cable crossovers or pec deck. You need some variety in there. I'm not a big fan of minimal programs simply because you tend to rely on 2 exercises. They're not well-rounded, and from what we understand from hypertrophy, it's not a good enough base. It's just we can do better. Nicholas, I remember in the 90s, they said no deadlifting because it hurts the back. Yeah, you know, there's fads that come through like that. Obviously, anything can hurt the back. Playing football can hurt the back. Eric Redbeard on the process. Like, one thing I hate about this, like, oh no, I shouldn't do this, that, or the other thing because I might get hurt. Well, you know what's safe in that type of mindset is sitting on the couch eating pizza. You won't get hurt. You might die young. You might feel like crap. Your sleep might go to hell, but you won't get hurt. On the processed food point, a cheap hot dog has 4 grams of protein. The bun has 4 grams of protein, and people think hot dogs are meat. Hot dogs, man, too traumatic for me from my childhood. Look, I'm going to be honest here. Adults that eat hot dogs seek counseling, seek professional help. Like maybe one dog, a Chicago loaded dog with kraut once a year. Yeah, I get it. But if you're eating hot dogs regularly, whoa, dude, pull back on it. Troy, can't get my left arm straight overhead. Time to seek a physical therapist because that is a serious injury. You can do whatever exercises work for you, Troy, but form tips, the biggest tip I can give you need to go see a doc, physical therapist. Richard, great live. Thank you, Richard. I like knee sleeves, have them on my shins like Ric Flair, then pull them up when it's time to squat. No issues with that at all. I wish dumbbells would increase weight in 1 kilogram bumps. You know, one thing I find which is ridiculous to me, especially at commercial gyms, is when it comes to like lighter weights, the increment jumps should be shorter. not only for men doing lateral raises and foo-foo lifts, but for women doing benching and other things. Like the fact that there isn't shorter jumps, and it's not like these dumbbells are expensive as 150 pounders, right? Ad slammer, training asymmetrically, push-pull legs, one day off for 24 days, and then 4 days deload. Is this sustainable in the long run? So you're doing push-pull legs, 1 day off. So you're doing 3 on, 1 off for 24 days. Okay, that seems reasonable. And then 4 days seems reasonable if you're recovering. I don't like the RPE part. What is an RPE? I'm going to tell you guys, and you need to understand that RPE falls down. When you look at falls apart, when you look at studies, people overestimate how hard they're pushing. And in lifting, it's usually by a couple reps, 2, 3 reps. So you might think you're a couple reps shy of failure and actually 4 to 5 reps shy of failure. I don't like legs 3 to 5. That's arbitrary. You should be adjusting your rep range to each exercise. That's not a lot of, like, are you only doing squats? I wouldn't recommend that. There's some pieces in the puzzle here that are concerning to me that could use some optimization. Raphael, if you had to choose with a gun to the head, Brussels sprouts or broccoli, easily broccoli. You could make broccoli cheese soup. Steamed broccoli with a little bit of salt is I find to be pleasant. Brussels sprouts, you got to really work them hard to enjoy them. Vinny P, I always feel tired and beat up. For creatine, it truly is the only beneficial of taking every day. Yeah, and that's, I want you guys, and I've said this before, when you see somebody on the internet that says creatine didn't do anything for me, the first thing you need to ask that dolt, and I'm just being humorous here, he might not be a dolt, is did you take 5 grams, at least 5 grams every day for months on end? If not, they didn't use it properly, and their opinion on creatine doesn't count. I can't tell you how many opinions I've seen on creatine over the years, and finally I learned to ask them, did you take 5 grams a day for at least 2 months? No. Well, of course you didn't get the benefits from creatine. You didn't even get a chance because you didn't use it properly. Thanks for the great and concise content. Cheers from Croatia. Thank you, Ad. Appreciate it. Sebastian. Assuming I'm sedentary most of the time, how many hours of cardio per week would you recommend for Army prep? Well, for Army prep, and it's different for everybody, but I would probably really increase the running. Back when I was in the Army in the early 90s, there was a lot of running and basic training. So the more running you can do, the better. I wouldn't sprint. I wouldn't risk injury. But I would start to do some speed ups during the running. And I would probably work in some incline work just for general conditioning, road marching. Do as much as you can stand. Nicholas, is 5K steps included in the regular cardio extra? Good question. That's outside of some form of cardio that gets your heart rate up. That's just a baseline moving around, going to the bathroom, cooking dinner, walking the dog type of thing. If one of my clients is below 5K steps on a general basis, they're not moving enough. Like if they're at 2,500 to 3,000, time to check the pulse, time to get moving. That's outside of cardio. If I sleep 4 hours one day, 8 the next, and 6 the next, how much will not much. If you lift properly, it's going to overcome a lot when it comes to muscle building. Now, is lack of sleep Optimal for muscle building? No. But if you train hard, it'll overcome most of that. Most. Smith Iron. Can you push, pull, legs, arms program be run 4 days a week? Anything you recommend changing? I guess I'd kind of have to see it, Smith. I mean, where do you train? Is it home gym? Is it a commercial gym? I'd have to see your specific exercise choices. It's not going to be easy. You might feel, but the thing is, like, once you do push, pull, and then you arms day, it's kind of a little lighter day. So it's not as taxing from a central nervous system standpoint or just a general physical standpoint. And then do legs, you have 3 days off. So it can be done. You just kind of want to listen to your body and make any changes that seem reasonable, but it should go okay. After push and pull, you might feel a little bit of toast, but again, you're going to walk in, you're going to do an arms day. It's not going to be as intense because there's really not super intense, compounds. Guys, I have 3 questions left. If you have any questions, get them in now. Get them in now. Last call. As a beginner, how many sets should I be doing? I started at 3 and now I do 4 sets. Are you talking per exercise? So maybe you can expound a little bit. Are you talking per exercise? Troy, can't get armed. Sorry, we covered that one. Lionel, if overhead press doesn't fit my program, then if upright rows, laterals are my only side delt. I'm not sure what you mean doesn't fit your program. Like, I'm not being critical, but I don't know of any reason other than injury that an overhead press can't be worked into a program. So maybe a little follow-up, Lionel, do you have an injury? And if so, I understand it can't be fit into your program. Then there's other exercises you can do, upright rows, laterals. Where do you train? Are you able to do a machine chest press? That sort of thing. I have a few extra questions. Ad Slammer, reply, leg day, squats, RDLs, Bulgarian split squats, calf raises, lunge variation. I lost where we were at. Where are we? I completely lost what we were talking about. I completely, because I know we talked about pain in your forearm and another workout question. Maybe you can send that to me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. All right, guys, last question. Dude, you have so much content. I've learned so much. I appreciate your support. I'm going to keep grinding this out until the wheels fall off the vehicle. All right, guys, this is it. We are out of here. If I missed your question, head over to Instagram. Head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman and slide into my DM. Head over to my website right here. Sign up for coaching. Sign up for a custom workout. Buy one of my workout programs. Buy one of my T-shirts. They're super cheap. I appreciate your support. I get to do this crap for a living. And I sincerely appreciate everyone's support. If I keep this up, I might eventually get to 100,000 YouTube subscribers. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Friday.